Hi guys, so I'm doing tonight's meeting live. I just thought we could all do with a bit of a change up, and I have to try and see if I can, oh no, that's right, comments. I'm trying to look to see if I can see comments. Yes, anyway, I'm still a bit novice at this stuff. Quiet mode turned on. Oh no, whoops. Okay, anyway, so I wanted to start with a Nelson, excuse me, sorry, a Nelson Mandela quote, and then a compassion exercise. And this time we're going to talk about how we're adapting to changes and what's going on in our life that's creating stress. You know, are we surrounding ourselves with good people, and that kind of stuff. Hey Bob! Okay, so the quote that I wanted to read to start the meeting is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are all powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are we not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's in everyone, and as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Nelson Mandela. I think that quote is amazing, and I have it on a tapestry on my wall, and I just feel as though it really does sit with people in a, someone's at my house, not for me, sit with people in a different way. We all can relate to things in a different way. For instance, we don't know what kind of impact we're having on other people. I was going through a really tough time last year, and a lady came up to me after I'd made my daughter something, and she said, you're doing a great job. And I was like, wow, thank you so much, you know. And she said to my daughter, you know, there are not many parents who go out of their way to do some craft during the day to make something for their kid just so that they can make them smile. You know, you should appreciate that. So I went home and I wrote her a poem, and my daughter and I got her like a crystal or a gem, and we gave it to her. And she said that, you know, that made her day. She was so happy. Anyway, I saw her yesterday, and I hadn't seen her in a while, and she said to me, I still have that letter that you wrote me. That meant so much to me. I keep it, I treasure it. And I was like in tears. I thought, oh my goodness, I did not know that someone would keep something, you know, as little as a poem written or a crystal for a year. You know, that it would still mean so much. So if we're doing little things for other people, sometimes we don't understand that it's actually a big thing for them, you know. I just did it because I wanted to give her a momentary piece of happiness, and I wanted to let her know that she really made an impact on me when I was in a really bad state, on giving myself trust and belief in myself as well. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to do is a compassion exercise. I've got a bunch of information here that I've researched on anxiety, on shame and guilt, and assertive communication, some sentences and things we can use to arm ourselves. I got some information on the people that we're spending time with, and what that says about how we feel about ourselves, decluttering our environment, and some information on balance. So I guess adapting to all different types of changes in our lives. So I guess we'll see what we get through. Okay, meditation exercise. I always find it's great to start out feeling a bit of peace. So find somewhere quiet where you will not be disturbed and sit with good posture in a comfortable position. take a few moments to do a body scan meditation, focusing on the sensations in your body. You may also do a breathing meditation before continuing. To do the breathing exercises, we want to breathe in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 8. Bring to mind people who have been unfortunate. Begin with the people for whom you feel the most sympathy or empathy. Remember that sincerity is everything in the Karuna meditation technique. Wish the individual freedom from their suffering. Wish for them to be happier, healthier, more fortunate, and more successful. You may find it beneficial to speak out your wish for this person. For instance, for someone who is ill, you may say, may they become healthy and strong. Or for someone who has been unfortunate with money, may they find financial security, richness, and prosperity. These lines are just examples. Express your sincere compassion in the words that feel right to you. If you feel any conflicting emotions, for instance, if you feel judgment of the person, be mindful of your feelings, but do not dwell on them. Simply observe them. If you struggle to do this, you'll find it helpful. Get in touch with the feeling of compassion. Be mindful of it. How does it feel in the body and the mind? Are there any obstacles in the way to true compassion? Be mindful of all that is happening within. Compassion is a feeling, and a feeling is an energy. Connect with that inner energy of compassion. Meditate on it. The more you meditate on the energy of compassion, the more that energy will grow inside of you, making you more and more compassionate, developing your levels of karuna one step at a time. Before long, you may feel like I don't know what this means, a bodhisattva. Okay. Remember to use karuna meditation for self-compassion too. While practicing karuna, remember to use the meditation for self-compassion for yourself and other people. Sure, everyone deserves compassion, and as loving people, we want to give compassion to others, but we deserve self-compassion too. That's why we should use karuna as a meditation for self-compassion. When you do the karuna meditation above, remember that it's a meditation for self-compassion as well. Okay, cool. So that's that part done. I'll just see if there, I don't know how to check on comments. I'm looking. Anyway, all right, well, I will continue on with what I have here. Okay, so when we go through changes, initially, obviously, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's worry involved in doing anything different. You know, maybe your partner isn't working and there's only one income coming in and you're stressed out about money. You know, maybe you've just changed jobs. Maybe you're moving house. Maybe you've just lost a loved one. Maybe you're adapting to, you know, being in recovery or trauma or anything. I mean, we all have different experiences that we're you know, struggling with, and our life is never going to be stress-free, and that's just a fact. But we obviously can do things about it. So anxiety is a natural smoke alarm. It's useful for us until it stops us from doing what we want to do. How our body responds on a very primal level changes the chemicals in our brain to fight, flight, or freeze. And how you respond as a young person will obviously impact how you respond as an adult. Okay, so obviously what we were doing just then, meditation, is really helpful for anxiety. I mean, anxiety can feel like a heart attack. Anxiety can feel, you know, like you've lost your legs. Anxiety can feel like burnt skin or ants crawling under your skin. I mean, it's very personal for each person. Okay, so anxiety often comes from an area of shame, self-doubt, fear, or any of those kinds of things when it comes to changing behaviors or changing things in your life. I had a lot of anxiety when I moved my house around this week, and I got rid of like a lot of stuff. And this is something that you'll often find. You know, you can have hoarding relapses. And so I got rid of all of this stuff because I realized that it was cluttering my life and it was creating all of this confusion in me, and it was I guess, not helping with my clarity. And we do like to stay in our comfort zones because, especially if we've experienced trauma, it feels safe, and our brain is like, no, we're not doing something that's different. So we get all these feelings of anxiety and shame and fear on things that have happened when we did try to change or try something new. We can get really critical and kind of stuck in our ways, especially in our environment, or maybe even the friends that we have. Like, for instance, you are probably most like the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. So maybe in a sense of class, or the language that you use, or the values that you keep. If they're, miserable, if they're going somewhere in life, if you relate to them on a larger level. So that's something to be mindful of, who you're inviting into your life. Who do you have in your life right now? What do you want? Do you want to be exactly like the people that you have in your life? If you do, then fantastic. You've nailed it. If not, it's definitely something to look at what you're getting from that relationship, because people aren't always there for your interests. Sometimes they're there for their own, which is about getting what they need from you. So it's a good thing to look at assertive communication, which I've got some information on a little bit later. Okay, so shame, fear, self-doubt, all of those kinds of things, right? Think of all of those negative feelings that affect our lives drastically. Okay, so a good way to counteract these feelings, these big blanket terms, these things that affect our lives heavily, is to ask them a range of different questions. You would write this down on a piece of paper. So you would write, has shame, fear, doubt, whatever it is, ever had you doing things against your better judgment, and having you beating yourself up? What plans does the emotion have for you? Is it helpful or useful? Is any of this actually okay? Do you feel okay when you have these emotions and these shame, fear, guilt, self-doubt? Do you feel okay? And do I actually, or do you actually need to carry this around with you like a monkey on your back? And what percentage is shame, fear, guilt, or doubt currently around? And if you can think about it, when has it been previously most active in your life? So when is it most likely to be around, so that you can prepare yourself? What's the aim of shame, guilt, fear, or doubt? Is it to invite depression, anxiety, to keep you stuck, to keep you unmotivated, to keep you helpless? And what feeds it or keeps it growing? Is it, bad decisions, anxiety, insecurities, creating new relationships, trying something new? Who are its enemies? So who stops it from being around? You might say reality, or facts, patterns, positive self-talk, assertive communication, support, reaching out to loved ones, therapy, NAAA, any kind of community outreach type of thing where you can get some logical answers. Who are its friends? So who helps shame, fear, doubt, guilt stick around? So they usually are their own friends. So shame is fear's friend, doubt is also fear's friend, but it's also insecurity's friend. They're all intertwined. But you need to think about it personally for you. Like this shame that's sitting with you right now, who's its friend? Where's it come from? And then once you've done this exercise, you would look at, what would I do differently now? And how will I behave differently in the future? So set some goals and plans to kind of look at moving forward, so that you can make a plan for next time, Okie dokie. So we were talking about communication before. Oops, I lost my spot. That is what I wanted to do. Okay, so I wrote down a life plan. This was some time ago, but I just read it and I was like, oh, that's really great. I'm going to share that with you guys. Okay, so my life plan, I think this was 2 years ago, was, no, it was in 2017, yeah, was to maintain physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being. So how I would do that would be, I don't let things pile up and accumulate. I'll speak up and be open, do some journaling, and write things down, and get busy doing things that matter. So inviting substance into my life, because being too busy feeds my anxiety. Have unscheduled time to do nothing. Name and shame behavior, not people, like not actually blaming other people and shaming them. Fake it until you make it. So when I'm having a bad day, sometimes I smile or I laugh. Our body and brain feels better and people look at us nicer, so it kind of works. Obviously you want to be authentic with the people that you love. Value ourselves, other people, and then they will value us as well. Implement structure and responsibility, discipline, be accepting. So don't let life get in the way of connecting with others. It says keeping the pain in front of us can sometimes define us. It stops us from having meaningful relationships and focusing on the crap in my life. So I was like, stop focusing on the crap in my life. And I need to sometimes put it down like a book when I'm going to bed, as though I've returned it to the library. I don't know if anyone has actually commented. I can't see any comments. Okay, so I will go on to decluttering your life. So the decluttering your life, when we have quality relationships, when we have minimizing our things, when we can actually kind of locate what we're looking for, it's a lot less stressful. And it actually creates our mind, very busy when we're looking at a drawer full of clothes and we don't know what we want to wear. It's just unneeded stress. And that's something that I've been doing all week. I took like 25 bags of clothes and things to the secondhand shop, and toys, and I went through my cups and plates, and I just organized things, because an organized life is good. You don't want to be too rigid, because then you're not going to have much fun. But organization is really, really important to keep your mind clear and focused on what you need to be focused on. So I put some rules down here on how to do that if you want to make some changes and you want to kind of minimize the quantity in your life and get more quality. So does your life feel out of control? That's the first thing to ask. If your life's feeling out of control, then you probably need to make some changes. Sometimes we need to start at home before we start with the people in our lives, or making big changes like I'm gonna start eating healthy and go out every single day. Okay, so the things that I've written down is, if you're looking at your stuff in your house, ask yourself, is it sentimental to me? Is there something that's sentimental about this item or thing that I need? Is it like a kid's photos or something like that? And obviously be reasonable. Do you really need it? Is it necessary to keep it? Is it useful? So is it something like, a kettle or a toasted sandwich maker? And if it is a toasted sandwich maker, do you ever use it? You know what I mean? Is it important? So is it like something like an interview outfit? You may never wear it unless it's like once a year when you're going for a new job, but it's important, so that's something to look at. And look at patterns. How many times have you used it? And can you do without it? So that's always, does this item or thing or person bring anything to your life? Yeah, okay, cool. That's that page done. I'm getting through all of this material. I don't know if there's any comments, because I can't see any. So I try and have a look. I wave. Hey, I'm waving. Hello. Okay, so one thing I was talking about before, you know, when we're looking at the people in our lives, we want to try and look at how to stand up for ourselves. Like I always talk about, be assertive. You know, look at this assertive communication stuff. It's all good and well to say, let's look at, you know, assertive communication. But if you don't have any responses to use, it kind of becomes difficult. So I'll read you guys out the 3 types of communication, and then I will give you some responses to use. And then the last lot of information I've got is on balance, and then I might close the meeting if no one comments. I can't see any comments. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm doing it all wrong. Anyway, okay, so there are 3 main styles of communicating: aggressive, passive, and assertive. So aggressive communication is expressed in a forceful and hostile manner, and usually involves alienating messages such as you statements, blaming the other person and accusing them of being wrong or at fault, and labeling. In addition, the person's tone of voice and facial expressions are unfriendly. The assumption behind aggressive communication is your needs don't matter. I win, you lose. Passive communication involves putting your needs last. You don't express your thoughts or feelings or ask for what you want. When you use passive communication, it feels like others are walking all over you because you don't assert your own needs. So you bottle things up and you might feel resentful. The assumption behind passive communication is my needs don't matter. You win, I lose, and I resent you for that. Assertive communication involves clearly expressing what you think, how you feel, and what you want, without demanding that you must have things your way. The basic underlying assumption is we both matter, let's try to work this out. Assertive communication increases your likelihood of getting what you want, avoiding conflict, and maintaining good relationships. I win, you win. When you are assertive, you can express your own thoughts, feelings, and needs, make reasonable requests of other people, stand up for your own rights, say no to requests from others at times, and obviously avoid guilt. That would be good. We can't always avoid guilt, but you know, we can try. We can try to minimize it. Okay, so here are some responses to people's expectations of us. So sometimes people have expectations of us. We want to, you know, stand up for ourselves and say, I'm sorry that's not your right to make that decision for me. Or, you know, you're overstepping here. This is inappropriate. You're behaving like a Neanderthal. Okay, so these are some responses. I'm happy with my decision. I used this so many times after my marriage breakdown because he was just a plundering troll, you know. He'd just try and break down the walls every chance he got. So I'm happy with my decision was just like, no, stop it. It was the right decision for me at that time. And it's true, like sometimes we don't always make the best decisions, but we don't have to validate ourselves. We can explain, look, it was the right decision for me at that time, and I've made changes now, or just that. We don't even have to say that. You can say, I don't want to talk about it. Thank you. Like, you don't owe anybody anything. You know, and so you can be compassionate, but don't take things you can't control on board. And you can only control your reaction. So maintaining what is within our control can prevent us being overwhelmed. Here we go. These are some ones in regards to disempowering communication. So people who are like putting us down and stuff like that. You might say, that's not helpful. Because really, at the end of the day, calling people out on their behavior, I think is good. And, you know, it's completely different saying, you're a piece of crap. You know, I mean, it pretty much means that's not helpful, but at the same time, you get a completely different response. So you want to try and de-escalate the situation. You know, if there's a situation, you want to de-escalate it. So you might say, if they say, oh, you're coming across rude, or you're not compromising, or whatever it is. You might say, that's not how it's coming across to me, or look, you're entitled to your opinion, but I don't exactly agree, and this is why. An intimidating person, someone who is, being rude or disrespectful, you might say, is it your intention to be intimidating? Or, you might say, are you trying to threaten me? Or that kind of thing. And so, just try and do the best that you can do in that moment, and avoid using you statements as the first, you have done this, and avoid using swear words and raising your voice. And that, I think, is the best way to communicate in return to people who are aggressive or maybe breach your boundaries regularly. Which I guess does have a big part in making changes, because people are not going to respect your boundaries when you start to change. They just won't, because they're not used to it. It's not right. It doesn't feel right for them. They're like, no, I'm sorry. Just do what we normally do. This is not right. And that's exactly the same with you and changing your environment and your friends and, your addiction stuff. All of it. It's all about getting used to it. So this is the last part that I had for this meeting, and what I'm going to do after... What are you doing? Yes, so stop don't dump it on the floor, please. Okay. Child. Anyway, so looking at adding value to our lives. So that goes into everything we've talked about. What is really giving... I have a lot of people say to me, I'm upset because I just lost this friendship. And I go, one second. Is that really a friendship? You think about it. You think about someone who you treasure the most in your life. And you think, okay, I'm going to compare that person to this person, this person who you've apparently lost the friendship of. Or you've got to put boundaries in place. And you go, wait, do they respect me? They're inappropriate, they're not my friend. They're not someone I need to hang on to. They don't offer anything to my life. And I think that's the same with everything that we have in our lives. What is it giving you? Why is it helpful? What's the good thing about having it? So value. Think about what you value, and if the people or things or whatever it is that you're driving towards, share your values and your dream and your outlook. And find out what you want. So be really specific in what you want, what your purpose is, because changing does involve, going through that process of what do you want, and why. Why is super important. Try to get rid of distractions. So remember, every yes is time. So if if you're super busy already and you're feeling overwhelmed, don't say yes to anything. Just say, I'm sorry, I don't have the time at the moment. Or you can say, hey, how about you ring me in a month's time and we can talk about it then. That's a really assertive response as well, because you're not saying no, but you're not saying yes either. You're saying, I don't have the time for it right now, because you've got to think of yourself first. Find out where the vacuum is. There is always a vacuum. There's bleed time. There's something that is taking up your time that probably doesn't need to be. Minimize it, even if you have to do it for a week or a day, map out what you have done. If you can't find where the vacuum is, map it out. I got a giant calendar that I have not used because I'm so unmotivated on my fridge, and it has big boxes in it. And my plan originally, it's now August, so 8 months. I've written like 2 things in it. My plan originally was to write my study schedule and write my plan and everything. So I think I do need to do that. Yeah. I think I need to do what I said I was originally going to do 8 months ago. So where is your time going? Say no, set some boundaries, protect your time, don't apologize, protect your sanity, make appointments for me time. I can't stress this enough. When you're originally making boundaries and things like that with people, I found that you really do have to say, I have an appointment or something like that, because they just don't get it. They're just like, no, your time is mine. I'm all that matters in my universe. So, okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to turn the page. Now, the next ones we've got to look at are you prioritizing easy? I know I do. I know I do. Just a minute, please, Kaylee. Because you're less likely to do the things that count. You know, if you're prioritizing easy, then you'll be tired at night. This weekend I've got to do an assignment because I am lazy, and I've had a lot of stuff going on lately. So, yeah. What else? Stop prioritizing false emergencies. You'll often find so many people will call up and say, I have an emergency, you need to come over right now. And at the end of the day, there are so many other avenues people can take if you're busy, if you can't function, you know. It's just, I get pulled into that all the time. You know, I used to stay up till like 2 or 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning talking to people about stuff. And then they'd have another false emergency the next day. And I was like too tired. I was like, I know, I'm not dealing with this. I already did the emergency stuff yesterday and it ruined my whole day. So be mindful of, you know, the fact that people can get their needs met elsewhere. Or maybe they could do it themselves. Maybe you're enabling them. Oh yeah, this is a cute little statement I remember saying. You are the architect of your day. I love it. So start prioritizing your freedom, your health, gain more emotional, physical, financial, and time freedom. Okay. And start doing things that create value to your life. And that's why this week I just went through all of my stuff and I just cleaned it out. I just cleaned it all out because I thought, well, I need to make some changes. I didn't even look twice at the stuff I got rid of. I was so happy. I feel so much better. The house looks amazing. It's so much easier to clean. I mean, you've got to think of your traits as a person. Are you someone who's quite unmotivated, or are you someone who is motivated and organized? If you're organized, you can probably have a lot of stuff because you have the time or energy to do it. Me, I am not organized. I am lazy. I am unmotivated. I don't want to do anything, usually ever. So that's why I just minimized everything, because I thought, well, what is going to be easier for me? Putting it off until it's all, you know, the dishes are piled up, or just reducing the dishes so they don't really get piled up. I have to do them. So I find laws to yourself is a good one. I'm going to I'm going to close the video now and see if there are any comments, and we can continue the meeting via the comment section. I think that would be a good idea because I feel like I might be missing out on some comments. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming, whoever's viewed the video part of the meeting. And I will talk to you guys in the comments. Ask me any questions if you want, and I will probably ask you some as well. I've had a few things going on this past few weeks. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in a minute. All right, bye-bye.